Randomly with Ronnie Jr.
All right. I hope you are sipping your beverage, enjoying yourself. We are chatting with Brittany and Nash of the band Golden West. Hello, you two. And how did you guys link up as a duo here?
We met in college, and we weren't working together when we met. I was in another duo. My best friend from high school, who was a year older than me, her and I worked together as a country duo, and she ended up going to Point Loma in San Diego. So I followed her there so we could do music together. And we ended up that first year kind of like not doing music. So I was doing my own pop thing that I'm sure you've heard some stuff from Rich. But during that time, we started hanging out, and we both just kind of fell into writing songs together. And by fell into it, I mean he forced me to listen to him. And you can give that side of the story.
Well, the first time I met Brittany, she doesn't remember, but this girl was slinging CDs in the guy's dorm in college. And I was like, this girl is a badass. She had like 20 guys around her. She's selling CDs, probably made a couple $100. And I was like, back then, that was 2008. It was a big deal to be on Apple and iTunes, and she had all that. So I was pretty impressed.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to work on stuff.
That's that inspiration, because when you step it up, the next person wants to step it up more and more. So Brittany has had that. Yes, Golden West, a band out of Nashville at the moment. Grew up in Southern California through, my brother knows Brittany from sometimes seeing that reinvention of her career. But I think this really is where it hits. This Golden West vibe, this being in Nashville. In a second, I want you to tell that story about how you ended up in Nashville supposedly for 3 months, but then it turned into just basically where you're building your career. Tell me about the name Golden West. That's a California-esque name, but you guys are in Nashville, and I was saying Nashville wasn't a for sure move. This was a 3-month move. Tell me that story, because it's quite intriguing how you guys almost accidentally ended up there, and now you guys.
It's true.
Yeah.
So we for years we'd been traveling to Nashville back and forth for either a weekend at a time for writing sessions. That those weekend trips turned into week-long trips, and we were loving it more and more. But as we were doing that traveling and other shows around the country, we started Airbnb and being our place in LA while we were gone. And we got a request from someone, and I was telling Nash, I'm like, I think there's an error on this because this number's way too high. There's no way that this person wanted to rent our place for 3.5 months. And sure enough, they did. It was this older couple. Their kids lived in the South Bay in Los Angeles, and they lived over in, I don't know, somewhere where it snowed a lot.
Somewhere on New Hampshire or somewhere really cold. Yeah.
So they wanted to come out to visit their kids and, get away from the snow for, the winter time. And we'd been talking about possibly going to live in Nashville sometime soon, but we wanted to try it out at a longer stint than, a week or two. And so that was a perfect opportunity for us to go there for a couple of months and try it out. And we just never moved back to LA.
And I think that's cool, because there are times where when you are from somewhere and you say, I want to go move to this new location for my career, sometimes you put all these red flags in front of you. You're like, I can't do it because of X, Y, Z. Sometimes it's something like, the practicality, the money or whatever. So making you sort of be a fish out of water indirectly for 3 months. I mean, how freaking exciting was that you guys, changed it? And why did you decide to stay? What was it that spoke to you about Nashville? I don't know much about Nashville, but I definitely want to learn and see. It seems like such a cool musical town where they concentrate on the music.
Yeah, I mean, for us being writers, it's been a lot more refreshing just because you can get a lot more done because it's a more condensed city. That's more of the focus in the city here. Nash and I have noticed we had a studio in LA, and we focus more on production out there. And that was more of a production town for us. But it's cool to have the different side of it out here.
It's a lot more songwriting. Couple people in a room with a guitar, with their cell phone, you do a voice memo. write a tune. And, you know, everyone out here, most people are doing 2 or 3 of those a day, pitching those to artists around town, or if they're with a publishing company or trying to get with a publishing company, they're sending those songs in. And yeah, it's fun. I feel like we got more accomplished here in a shorter amount of time just because we weren't, you know, driving to Burbank for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, because traffic from, you know, your house to Vaughn's is about 2 hours. It's really bad. When they talk about traffic, nobody in LA, it's not an understatement. Like, it's really that bad. But, you know, leaving LA for time management was one thing, but I think it's also very important for an artist, you know, to be like, I guess, fish out of water is what I'm saying, because there's certain distractions that you are that same kid you were when you grew up in your certain hometowns. And sometimes you just need to like break free, I think. I mean, for me, I've lived in mostly Southern California and about roughly on and off 7 years in New York, but I've had to also be in Phoenix, and I've also had to be in Vegas for radio. And each and every time you go to these places, it's like, it really changes the game. Like, you start to connect with yourself more artistically. And I'm sure the same case happened for you guys. You're like, oh, wow, like, we don't have any distractions. This is basically, I don't want to say like do or die go time, but it does feel like that a little bit sometimes. It makes it more good.
Oh, go for it.
No, go.
I was just gonna say, it's just like you said, Ronnie. It's a nice different way to get inspiration in different areas that you would have never thought you would have had. Some of the songs, actually all the songs we've written here, I can guarantee we wouldn't have written in LA, just because it's a different environment. We're influenced by different things. You know, our senses are triggered by, you know, different scenarios and different people, and you know, it's cool, like you said, to get a different take on life every once in a while.
And you probably feel like in those 2 years you've accumulated so much living. Not that you didn't in your hometown, of course, but like you've accumulated so much living in those 2 years because you have such a focus. But I'm sure you're mixing it up too. You have good friends in Nashville, and Nashville's such, to me, like that musical town. So I think that's a smart move. Musical influences. I did want to make sure that we do talk about some of the hot, young, new, not yet young is the only thing, but fresh, emerging talent that you guys know, be it in California, be it in Nashville or otherwise, that's just also out there hitting the pavement like you guys are. Do you guys have some names of some people to look out for?
For sure. And like we've been saying, we work with all types of genres. The first two I'm thinking of are like alt rock bands. There's a band called The Racks from the South Bay also. Incredible artists. And also Weathers is from the South Bay. Amazing. They were going to be out on their first headlining tour this spring and summer, which got pushed back. But country artist Tyler Rich, we really love. We get to work with him a lot.
Kurt
Chambers, a Grammy winner, is an incredible artist that we get to write with a ton.
Doran
Danoff, amazing.
And what's funny is some of these guys we're mentioning are from LA that have moved to Nashville too in the last, you know, 5 or so years. But yeah, no, it's just cool to see in the different genres we've worked in and continue to work in that music is so universal. It's like math. Everyone can get together and create something that you would never be able to create in a different environment, you know?
I mean, like Satoshi.
Yeah, we were just working with a band from Japan, actually.
And they didn't speak any English, and we still wrote a song, and that was a really powerful moment that spoke to us about just songwriting, how it didn't even matter. It was the same process.
Well, that's when technology is a good thing, because then you can, you know, mix and match these influences, and like you say, communicate through the lyrics and the implementation. What do you think people, or how do you think people react with Golden West? The name alludes to like a California vibe, but then you guys are now a Nashville band. How do they react to that? Or does that work in your favor? Because it kind of says, this is where we're at, but this is where we're from. Like, this is the fabric of who we are. How do people react?
At first, there's some pushback from country fans, but then you remind them that Merle Haggard and all these, so many country artists actually are from California. Dwight Yoakam, another incredible artist. And once you remind them of that and some of those influences, then, and the more time we spend too, I think people have opened up more to that scene.
Yeah, well,
I guess.
and it's got that broad, sense of like beach and country,
Mhm.
so where we kind of got the name from is, living in Southern California, living close to the beach, Orange County, the South Bay, Los Angeles, Marina Del Rey. Um, in Orange County, there's Golden West College, and there's a couple other places. I think there's a street called Golden West Street.
Right.
And there's a sign that actually, we have friends that send us all the time. It says Not Avenue in Golden West Street because my last name's Not. And they're always like, oh, we miss you guys, like thinking of you. And I think that might have been one of the signs that we really were like, okay, this is kind of a cool name between, the sunset California vibe and, with the gold rush.
Yeah, it
It's always been
encompasses
called
just
the Golden West.
people know what that name is. They've heard it places before.
Yeah.
And we like that
Had you chose or tried to do like just the names like Brittany and Nash? Like, had that been a band idea first, or you were like, no, we just want a name that really represents us?
We wanted something that could branch out into other things. Like we wanted, if we made t-shirts, for example, we wanted people to think of it more of a brand and not just about us. We wanted the music to be bigger than just Britt and Nash.
Oh,
We wanted to encompass more. So that's why we picked more of a broad name.
Yeah, well, it's working, and I love that little story. That's a great anecdote about, choosing the name, but it was another great anecdote about being in Nashville and why you're there. So I'm glad you're there. It seems like it's the right fit. And again, in 2 years' time that you've been there, you probably accumulated a lifetime of memories, and this is just the beginning. Who are the iconic, legendary talents who inspired you guys while growing up? It could be country music, but it could be, across the board. Who really, when you were a young kid, you looked up and said, wow, I want to do that. Like that's really the talent that I aspire to be. Who comes to mind for you two?
I mean, I think we could both say Eagles for sure.
Yeah, the Eagles.
Fleetwood Mac.
A lot of classic
Doors.
rock influences for sure. Mainly because our parents were listening to it, still when we were growing up. And there's a lot of country influences in that music too.
Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, Shania Twain.
Toby Keith.
Brooks and Dunn.
The Dixie Chicks.
And, with like our siblings, we grew up listening to like Foo Fighters, No Doubt.
Blink 182.
Yeah, Audio Slave. Like,
Creed, yeah.
Yeah, Creed. Nickelback.
Yeah, and hip hop too.
Little bits of everything from the old school
Yeah.
stuff that like your parents were listening to, and then of course your stuff. Brittany, as a female, I definitely got to ask you, when you mentioned No Doubt, like that's got to be an inspiration too, to see like Gwen rock it on a stage. She's just one of those people that's so powerful on a stage. I think that had to be an influence to you as well, especially being a Cali girl that she is.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, her, Nelly Furtado, Avril Lavigne, any of like Alanis Morissette, who is doing her Jagged Edge Pill tour, I think this summer. I'm so excited about.
Yeah, they had a Broadway show also on her life, I assume. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Jagged, I think it was called, I don't know if it's still running, Jagged Little Thrill. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I'll eat up Alanis any day of the week. Like, Alanis is a great, unique, rare find. And also, Alanis probably got a little bit of game. Remember when Alanis was with Ryan Reynolds? Do you remember that day?
Oh my gosh, you're right. I totally forgot about that.
I mean, Alanis is a player.
She is.
I mean, you just don't.
I was going to say good
more.
for Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
I commend you for that. I just had forgotten about that, but I was like, wow, Ryan Reynolds, of course we know him and everyone loves him, but no, Alanis, she mopped that up early on.
Oh yeah, I love it. But yeah, no, I mean, there's so many iconic people that we were able to grow up with that it's cool to see some of these guys still influencing and bringing new listeners in, the younger generation. That's kind of just hearing them. They're creating a whole new style of music, like the Billie Eilishes that are creating and bringing back that 90s vibe that we all loved and grew up with, that, we've been aching for someone to bring back.
Yeah, the Billie Eilish thing, it seemed like it exploded. And I don't know if it hit me right away. I don't know if I like caught it or understood it right away. But what I do like about it is the synergy that she has with performing with her brother. That seems really cool to me because it's in this business. It's about who you're working with as well. You know, you could
it makes all the difference.
I mean,
don't
we
you
know
think?
that.
Don't you think? Wouldn't you rather have a slow burn and sort of like who you're working with versus like just like shoot out of a cannon and then you hate all the business attached to it? So that I like about the Billie Eilish. I need to learn more about the Billie Eilish. I just see her nails and she throws me off of the. I'm sure she's the hot. Yeah.
And that's kind of like with us. I would say we're on that slow burn side of it because we started working together, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago in college. And, you know, it's been a fun, long journey, but like we wouldn't be where we're at if we dove into something without like truly diving into ourselves and each other as a duo.
I mean,
you know?
it's long hours, and Rich, she stuck with me pretty much all day, every day.
That's what the whiskey's for.
Well, cheers to that. I'm not drinking whiskey, but I feel like I am.
Yeah, but for new artists that are starting out, it really is important. And, you know, you're going to work with people that you're going to have a falling out with. And it's important to find the people that, you know, you vibe with. And you kind of have to be on at least a similar page musically to make it work.
Well, and, you know, I use the word slow burn, but it's slow burn, but it's also building structure, like building the blocks. You know what I mean? Like that way you have such a foundation where your career sort of can't really go anywhere that you don't want it to go. So once the fan base is intact, once the talent is intact, all the bells and whistles of a brilliant tour and all that stuff that comes once the product is there. So that's one thing to focus on. It's tough though because this day and age, not everyone, but there's a lot of faux artists that care about selling themselves online, but yet they don't back it up, but yet there's a reward for that. You know, I've seen like terrible musicians say they're a musician and they get like a faux, you know, sponsors for, you know, they sponsor their bathroom visits. I mean, it's really disgusting how we've left the artistry. And that's why when I created this concept, I was like, oh, I want to talk with talent. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to find out anything that's just, you know, a flash in the pan social media style. I want to know, like, what makes you tick, why you got into music, who the songwriting is about, et cetera, et cetera. So I think slow burn is the way to go. And I think building that foundation is the way to go. So, yeah, I'll just want to be VIP when big things happen. You know what I mean?
Oh, we got you. We got you.
I'll drink whiskey. I don't drink whiskey as much, but I feel like it's really good when you're hearing country music. I don't know as much about country as you guys, of course, but anytime I get exposed to it with friends or something, or if I'm on a camping trip and there's like a pit fire, it's very nice. It's very cool, but I don't know it that much.
Yeah. What I like to say is the whiskey tastes better with a country song, and the country song sounds better with some whiskey.
Yes. It makes me want to go camping right now. Pit fire, whiskey, and then like some great iconic songs. What are the great iconic songs in country? I like
the time.
Which one?
There's so many. Which one do you have? I'm curious.
Okay, but see, I don't want to be one of these people who doesn't know the genre, so maybe I'm calling out like a not good one. But I liked that. I love the music video, and I love the words in the song. Speaking of songwriting, is it Alan Jackson? Remember When?
Yep.
That to me, is that good country music? Because again,
fantastic.
It was one of the best, right?
Yeah.
The journey that it took me on as a consumer, I'm like, oh my gosh, he took you from dating the girl to marrying the girl to having the children or whatever, and like now they're looking back when they were 30. Oh my gosh, that's got to be the coolest concept, and it's such a great country song. So again, I don't know it. I grew up mostly on like the soul R&B vibe, you know, but I respect the country music artistry for sure. What iconic songs stick out to you guys?
Oh, okay, I'll let you start there.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
there's so many, but like iconic or like what sticks out, like things that just made your childhood, I guess? I don't know.
I think of one that I really like is Eli Young Band has a song about him growing up walking down like Broadway in Nashville, hearing the music and not being able to go in the bar, but it gave him like the inspiration to do it himself.
What's that?
Yeah.
Nash, what's that terminology? Not going on the bar. What does that mean exactly?
Oh, like he couldn't get into the bars because he was 11 years old.
Oh, okay.
So he's just walking down the street on Broadway listening to all these amazing players and thinking, one day I want to do that. And yeah, like Britt said, it's called "Even If It Breaks Your Heart" is the title of the song. That one always stuck out to me. I guess it's newer-ish.
Yeah, there's actually one too that it's early 2000s, I think, Carrie Underwood. It's a slow song, and it's about a soldier going off to war and, you know, not making it home. And
What's that one called?
Just a Dream
is
what it's called. And that's one that always just really hits the feels for me as far as, you know, the story goes. And that's something that we love about country music and why we love writing it is it's based around the story and the authenticity of, you know, being able to feel what that person was feeling in the situation. It's like a movie or a book. What
they always say is they say it's 4 chords and the truth. And that's a country song.
Okay. All right. I like that. What aspirational tours and stuff would you guys like to get into? Like, what is it? You said, I think I've chatted with you before. You've done the Bonnaroo. What was that experience like?
It was amazing.
It was amazing. It was awesome. But I mean,
that's been a bucket list goal for us for a while. And the fact that we were able to get that knocked off our list so early in our career, we're really blessed and like thankful. Hopefully we can play it more and more and some more festivals, but it was crazy. I mean, it was such a whirlwind. It was, you know, it's a rush just being able to play on a stage like that. And, you know, especially in an environment where you're at a festival where we're on one stage and we hear Cardi B on the other stage, and then, you know, you got another band on this other stage over here, and you kind of feel each other's energy.
It's eclectic too. Like Britt's saying, Cardi B finished her set and then ours started. So we kind of are setting up and we're listening backstage to Cardi B playing. And then right when we finish, Fish starts playing on a different stage. I'm like, it's just a weird,
eclectic.
I really do like Bonnaroo for that reason, that there's so many different styles going on and you can jump around. It's cool.
Yeah.
I think the last festival I went to was those Firefly festivals. Not to be confused with fire. No. Fire Fest. Oh, see, now I'm saying it wrong. Firefly. It was in Delaware, and there's, you know, like I think 6 stages as well, and it really has it's this beautiful like open lawn area in Delaware, and I went about 3 or 4 times. So the variety of musicianship is just, you could get anything you want. You know, like you said, Cardi's over here. You know, you could get electro, but you could get country. It was very fun. It was cool, and I think when I watched it, I was at the ending stages of being like a young person. Now I'm a little too old to go to those festivals, but it was fun. Like, it was really, really a cool experience. I can't imagine what that feels like to rock a crowd. Speaking of rocking a crowd and cities, you're in Nashville now. You guys have the California roots. What are some of the places across this country that you really have enjoyed performing at, and maybe were a shock even?
I mean, here's always a great place. We perform in New York. We love that. Dallas was a fun place to perform. Vegas, we always had too much fun performing in. California, back home, you know, Los Angeles is never a bad time. Where else?
I'm trying to think of other fun ones. Man, you just got me thinking about Vegas, the too much fun thing.
Yeah.
Vegas is gnarly. I lived in Vegas for a year, you guys. It's terrible.
I don't know how you did it.
I would do it again now at this stage of my life, but at the time I didn't like it. But it's still very gnarly. It's very challenging, and but I don't know. I feel like it's changed in the last couple of years. I haven't been in about 9 years, so I don't know. It seems to be
we haven't been since we moved, so we're not sure either.
I think our last one, we did the PBR. We opened for Midland, which is a great I mean, they're not up and coming anymore. They're really doing big things, but we opened for them, and that was a time.
And our friend Tyler Rich, we opened up for him. He's another great artist that has been on the rise the last couple years, and so any country fan should check him out for sure.
What is your guys' take? Unfortunately, I mean, still it's chilling and haunting to think back, but what is your guys' take on that country festival that they had in Las Vegas and the tragedy that occurred? Just how did you guys react?
I mean, we were
That's when we were
shocked.
moving.
And we were supposed to be there that weekend. There was a festival the weekend before called Life is Beautiful. And we were there with artist friends that we worked with the week before, and we just decided it was too much for us to go back to Vegas again. So
because we were moving to Nashville temporarily at that time.
The next Monday.
Yeah, the next week.
I mean,
so we had to pack and everything.
First feeling was absolute shock.
Yeah.
And then it was just making sure everyone we knew was okay. And, you know, a lot of them weren't. I mean, it's just tragic. It was, I don't know. I still thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, I remember where we were when it was happening. We were in our studio in LA, and my sister-in-law called me, and we were working on a mix, and I didn't answer because I just assumed it was a drunk phone call from the concert, you know.
Everyone was like trying to say that we should drive out late.
Everyone,
you knew that this person was at the show.
Yeah, and we were supposed to be there. We didn't go, so we were getting phone calls like all weekend from my brother, sister-in-law, friends, you know, singing songs like, "Oh, you guys should be here." So I was like, "Oh, I'll leave it to voicemail so I can like actually save it because it's gonna be funny to be able to show them." Well, then I get a text from another brother saying, you know, "Are you guys okay? Like, you know, have you been shot?" And I'm like, "What the heck?" Like, so I immediately, like, our hearts sank. You know, we called them back not knowing what was going on. They ended up being okay. But yeah, it was a whirlwind being away from it. I can't imagine, you know, what our friends and family members were going through being there.
Well, and it's so close to home. Like, those are, you know, country music is your vibe, and those are your, you know, as your career grows, like, how many of the people that were at that venue are people that would like and consume your music even? So it's just a very close to home moment. And yeah, it was real tough to watch that on the news and see what was happening. I just never thought we would hear something of that nature, you know, something big, fun.
But, you know, what's really endearing and cool to see is the country community and just the live concert community come together so well. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's just really refreshing to see how, as humans, we can all come together as one and really bond and be strong, you know, and make something better of a dark situation.
Right, the unity and the
instead of just running away, these people are in gunfires helping people that have been shot. Like, I mean, it's like a war zone. It was amazing.
Well, that's one thing about music. I think you guys alluded to this a bit. It's like music is that bond where people can get through the toughest of times. Like, you know, I remember, I mean, not the exact same thing, but like when Ariana Grande had the explosion at her show and then flips up in about a week and a half and has the concert in Manchester, and all of her, you know, artist friends came to perform, and, you know, the tragedy's still going to be the tragedy, and that's of course a dark thing, but the bounce back of what music does changes the game. For Ariana, and I know it's just pop music, you know, and the lyrics are probably not as deep as country lyrics. However, what I liked about seeing Ariana's situation of bouncing back was that a song like Be All Right just always was like, oh, it's gonna be all right. You know, it's just like a song. But then the context that it had, I think Be All Right was the first song she came out to at the Manchester, the second, like, you know, the show to unify the community. I'm like, oh my gosh, the lyrics have so much more context now. So I think at the end of the day, music, songwriting, that's the great, you know, therapeutic thing. So you guys are doing it. Any last words that you guys have to leave as far as like what your aspirations are within your projects?
We've been working on a lot of new tunes in the studio. We got probably 4 or 5 new singles that we're going to be releasing in the next few months. So we're excited about that. We've been itching to get that stuff out. And then I don't know, what else do you think?
I mean, without saying too much, there's some stuff that might be coming out in other formats like movies and TV shows we can't really get into, but yeah, it should be fun.
And before I let you guys go, what is the great, what is the key to making a great country music song? What are all the ingredients? Again, I don't know country as much. I love it when I hear it, but I couldn't, you know, name all the artists or whatever, but anytime I'm exposed to it, it's pretty good. Maybe cheesy, but I watched the TV show Nashville. I don't know if that was cheesy. I'm sure it was cheesy, but it was kind of cute though. Was it
So
cute?
did you watch the whole thing?
Not when it went to the other network. No.
Okay, so one of our good friends that actually we just produced one of her singles that she's gonna put out soon is Chaley Rose, and she was Zoe. On Nashville. She was
Redhead?
on the first couple seasons.
Was she redhead girl or?
No, she
I think she was on season 1 through
Who's the
3.
daughter? A daughter?
she was what's his name? Gunners, like not Scarlett, the other girl.
She worked at the
Oh,
Blue
okay, got
She
it,
was
got it,
the
got
blue
it.
girl.
I love whoever that girl is, Scarlett. I don't know what her real name is. That woman was a talent. I liked her a lot. That was such a great show. It was such a great show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was a great show. But yeah, so one of our friends was on it. She's a great actress, great singer.
I'm bad. I've only seen a couple episodes.
Yeah,
It
it
is
probably,
fun, cool.
it probably was a cheesy show for like authenticity, but it was soapy and sappy, and I loved it. But you know, my thing, it was a bit of an entry point for country music with me because I didn't really know or like it. But that's just, and I mentioned that only to say that a lot of people, if they don't know or like something, they have these preconceived notions. But no. Once I watched the TV show and got into like the drama of it all, then I wanted to hear the real stuff. I was like, oh, let me turn on Garth Brooks on my Spotify.
I love it.
Yeah, so that was my entry point. But it's good music, and yeah.
I'd say, I mean, the keys to country music is it's got to be true. It's got to connect with the audience, and
I would say like the simplicity of it too is, you know, it's a beautiful genre in the sense that it says a lot, but it also, you know, you don't have to have a lot of bells and whistles to really like touch the heartstrings.
Right.
yeah, I mean,
It's more about the story.
I will say Lee Brice is one we didn't mention. If you have to check him out, though.
Oh,
I think he's the
amazing.
epitome of like, he's probably my favorite country songwriter and artist.
And
right now.
being from R&B and soul, you would love him because he's got a lot of those undertones because that's a lot of his influences.
That's surprising how, I mean, that's what I was totally raised on, you know, everything from the Commodores, LTD, you know, even Shaka Khan. Like, so I always kind of identify with that way more. But like when I do turn to country, whether it's old Alan Jackson, you know, song or something newer, it just, there are so many like connections. So yeah, it's all music at the end of the day. So as humans, we can't have preconceived notions, like whether you like country and hate R&B or vice versa. Like we just got to let it rock out. And that's what you guys are trying to do. You guys are mixing genres a little bit. You're like, I'm country, but listen, we came from Cali. So of course we're going to give you the California coastal country vibe, of course. Why not? So that's cool. Thank you for sharing your knowledge on country music. I'll try to listen to it more. And we will end the interview. Oh, before I ask everybody, because she's my queen, what do you say one nice thing about J-Lo? Just because I'm a huge J-Lo fan and I appreciate her fortitude. I appreciate her reinvention. Both of you give me a J-Lo moment of inspiration, please.
I mean, I can go right now. I can tell you.
I think I know what she's going to say.
This bumper was pulled off of the bust of Salinas.
Yes.
The movie is
Yes.
one of the best music.
One of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite
Mm-hmm.
soundtracks of all time. Like, she crushed that. And that, I think, was the start of her career in music and film and everything. And she did such a great job. Like,
I get goosebumps. We've seen it, I think, probably at least 30 times. What a great movie,
I'm going to say like 30,000 on my end.
Yeah, it connects with so many people, and that was that huge entry point for her. I think she did the movie Mi Familia before, and she did the TV show South Central, and of course the dancing. But what I find odd and unique about it is she managed to honor this beautiful story that Selena, honor her legacy and her life in such a great way, which I think a lot of artists maybe could do. But then J-Lo managed to create her own, like, you know, reinventive career. I just don't think many people could have done that. You know, one or the other. You could have done a bad take on Selena and then kind of build your own career, or you could have been great at the Selena character, but then you wouldn't have had the wills to move on into other stuff. So we love Selena. Everyone does.
Oh, yeah. What would you say?
I mean, most recently, the Super Bowl halftime show impressed the shit out of me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shakira too, and I know we all talked about it like to follow Shakira, who's also a mega superstar.
I mean, Shakira is today's Selena. That's what Selena would have been if, she was still around. She paved the way for people like Shakira.
And people don't realize Shakira is one of the highest selling artists in the history of music entertainment.
Well,
for
J-Lo's in the headlines all the time. But no, Shakira's resume is I mean, what does she speak, like 4 or 5 languages? I mean, Shakira is amazing. And as a J-Lo fan, I was a little bit nervous, you guys. I was nervous when J-Lo did the halftime because I said, oh no, you're gonna let Shakira go first? You're gonna basically close the show. Now, I love her, J-Lo, but I was a little bit nervous. I was like, yo, you got the big balls to go.
Did you see, my favorite, did you see her right before she was going on stage? The camera's on her, and she was in her, she looked like a UFC fighter getting ready to, knock someone out. She was just in the moment, and she stomped up on that stage and just crushed it.
Well, and that's the reason I asked this question as my last question of the interviews, is because while we were talking about 100 different other things, coastal country and whatever, J-Lo for me is somebody who I see with that great fortitude and reinvention, and it applies to all of us. The times in my career where I'm like, oh, I'm being like a baby and I need to step it up. I look to someone like J-Lo who's gonna tell her no? No one's gonna tell her no.
I'm not gonna tell her no.
She's gonna continue, and she's also, if her vocals aren't on point, she continues to work with it. So she gives me great creative inspiration. Lastly, who gives you two great creative inspiration? It could be people that aren't on the forefront. It could be a songwriter that's, a little more niche, but who gives you guys great creative inspiration?
Brittany.
Aw, that's cute. I actually love that. That's actually really cute.
You said you need someone that you work with that pushes you, and 11 years in, I think we both find ways to keep each other just outside of our comfort zone so that we keep, progressing. Mm-hmm. You can say someone else.
No, I agree with you.
It's like Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Even the people we work with too,
we're really blessed. We get to work with the best of up-and-comers and Grammy-winning people. Our buddy Kurt was just on the Ellen show
with Alicia Keys. He's a great artist, writer. We click so well with him, and he's a great inspiration and pushes us to be better. And
we actually are going to release some tunes with him coming out too that we worked on right before all this happened.
Okay.
And then our buddy Ryan Sorestad that we write with on the daily, he helps push us outside of our box as far as people that we work with. Inspirations that keep me going are even still people like a Sheryl Crow or Stevie Nicks, listening to stuff that I grew up on and trying to listen to new things like Sigrid. She's another artist that we both love. Songwriting wise, Bonnie McKee for me is a huge influence.
If you don't know who, she wrote basically most of Katy Perry's #1 hits.
Okay.
Early on.
Britney Spears, Jason Derulo, you name it.
Actually, we'll send you the link on YouTube. There's a cool video of her playing and singing all the songs she wrote. It's like a 3-minute mashup of 18 #1s that she's written. It's really cool.
Yeah. No, songwriting is I think I only tried to write a song once, and it was very challenging. I'll never do it again. I know my lane is to broadcast. That's more fun for me, but it takes a lot out of you. But it's a cool thing, and I hope more people get respected as songwriters, because even though sometimes they're in the, not in the forefront, I mean, it's such a talent. But I like what you guys are doing. You concentrate on that, but you're also now, in the forefront, Golden West, making sure you let everybody in Nashville know you're from California. And that's a cool thing. This is Brittany. This is Nash, living in Nashville. Golden West is the band. Of course, they've collaborated for about 11 years. Of course, those musical inspirations go back to when they were children, and this just seems to be the right connection. So if you're in Nashville specifically, check them out. They seem really fun. Follow them on all their social media handles. And I want you guys to have much more success. I think the name Golden West is fun, and it kind of tells everyone real quickly who you are. So keep making those tunes, you guys. That's it for me. Any last words?
Thank you for having us. It's been a blast. So much fun. So
thanks, Ronnie. We once we're back in California, we'll have to grab drinks with you.
Very good, and I like that you guys took the time to interview, because a lot of the interviews these days are very like fast and quick. I just don't like that per se. You know what I mean? I want to know about the music. I want to know about the industry. I want to know about your reinvention, career goals, et cetera, et cetera. This is my version, a radio version of Behind the Music and True Hollywood Story. So I hope we all got that.
Well, we appreciate that. It's more fun for us to do it that way too. So thank you.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, Nash, I tend to think it's a bit disrespectful, and this happens on the big scale too, like the big talk shows. Like it'll be like Bette Midler. Let's talk about a career, Bette Midler, and then the whack, ridiculous host on the damn TV shows will ask her what she thinks about Tiger King. It's cutesy, but it ain't fair. I need respect with talent when he talks about it. I'm silly. Maybe the alcohol's kicking in. I don't know. Thank you, guys. This has been Golden West. And
cheers.
Oh, yes. Cheers through the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, Tony's all the way.